Coming up, we're going to talk about unpopular DVC opinions. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined in the studio this week by my good friends, co-owner and realtor of movingtoorlando.com, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hi.
And a DVC member in his own right.
Mm-hmm.
Our producer, Mr. Corey Fiascanaro.
Welcome home.
Also a DVC member in his own right.
That's right.
And joining us via the internet from disboards.com, webmaster Rob Lindsay, webmaster Doc on the boards.
Hello, everyone.
Our senior, I'm sorry, I'm just so scattered right now. Senior editor, dvcfan.com, Mr. Paul Krieger.
Hey, everybody.
And joining us from DVC Resale Market, Derek DeBoer.
Howdy, howdy.
Along with their marketing and sales director, Ms. Marissa Valentin.
Hi.
Is it Valentin or Valaton?
It's Valentin, but
Valentin. Okay, because I think I keep going to first of all, I go with Mariska Hargitay first, and then I go with Marissa Peloton. So I don't know why. I don't know why your name brings all this stuff up. But Mariska Peloton is your name now. Just so you know, it has been changed, and we're going to change your lower third so that. Welcome, folks, again. Thanks for being with us. Just a couple reminders before we get started. Number one great way to show your support for us is go ahead and hit that subscribe button right below this video on you. Assuming you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on iTunes, it makes no sense at all. But also that thumbs up button, that like button, that really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. Helps YouTube know, like, okay, we should recommend this show to other people, and that gets more visitors to enjoy the warmth and charm that is us. Also, another great way, if you enjoy our content, to show your support for us is to show your support for our sponsors and for our DVC shows, our DVCfan.com website, our DVC Fan Facebook group. Our sponsor is the World of DVC, and that consists of DVCResaleMarket.com, DVCRentalStore.com, and Monera Financial. So you can buy a resale contract, you can rent out the points and make some money, and if you want to finance that resale contract. All right there, all World of DVC. See what I mean? Good branding. So, all right, this week, I wanted, I came across this thread on the DVC Fan Facebook group, which we'll have a link to that in the show notes. It was started by Scott Knapp, called Unpopular Opinions, and Unpopular DVC Opinions. And I always wonder, really what constitutes unpopular opinions on Facebook. I thought all opinions on Facebook were unpopular. But right? Am I wrong? But I picked a few of them I want to start out with, and then I think we'll just open it up to our individual unpopular opinions. Just get everybody's take on some of the ones that were shared in the thread, because some of the ones I was reading were like clutch pearl, like, oh my God, really? See, now the first one I had to think about. Beach Club Villas is overrated. Does anybody agree with that?
I mean, I agree with it. I don't think they're like the greatest thing that ever lived. I think a lot of people like it because of Stormalong Bay. I'm not Stormalong Bay. Stormalong Bay. Yeah, I think a lot of people like it more so because of Stormalong Bay. But I've never really heard anyone talk about, I just love the actual rooms there themselves. I mean, they're nice enough, but I mean, I just feel like it's in this separate building in the back, and it's always bugged me that it's just a completely different color. Like the whole building is just like this very odd color compared to the beach club itself. I just don't think it fits with the theme, and it's tough.
I think it does.
It's tough between the two because I'd just rather stay at Boardwalk. I guess it's not bad. It's just I do think they're overrated though.
Okay, anybody?
I agree with Sean from the perspective that it was sort of the afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, it's tucked in the back. Boardwalk was part of the original design. So I can understand the overrated concept, since it's sort of back in the forest, so to call it. I think that's preserved back there.
Okay.
Sean makes a good point too with the Boardwalk comparison. Just if you look at value at the moment, and I think we'll probably see this in terms of resale as we continue getting closer to that 2042 expiration, which so many resorts fall into. But if you say, hey, we've got our Epcot resorts, Beach Club and Boardwalk, we've seen Boardwalk start to dip a little bit in prices where Beach Club is still bumped up. So if you say, hey, overrated in terms of pricing for that location, Boardwalk really is becoming a front runner in terms of value for the Epcot resorts.
See, and I think I own at Beach Club. I like Beach Club, but I will say that the rooms are starting to show some wear. And it's at that point in its life cycle. It's a popular resort. A lot of people stay there. Furniture and stuff starts to get worn. Doesn't always get replaced. For me, because I also own a Boardwalk, I like Boardwalk better. I like Boardwalk better. I like the vibe. I like, I'm not a pool guy, so I don't care about Stormalong Bay. I don't have kids, so I don't care about Stormalong Bay. The appeal for me of either Boardwalk or Beach Club, or I guess Yacht Club, if we're talking about hotels, is proximity to Epcot. Being able to walk in that international gateway entrance into Epcot. And for me right now, if it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, I'm staying at Boardwalk. So I don't know that I would call Beach Club overrated. I think that's harsh, but
I think the restaurant's part of it too. I mean, I think if you're going to compare it to other DVC resorts, they do kind of, it is more of a premium as far as, even in the DVC realm, I do kind of consider it like Marissa was saying, it's more expensive than Boardwalk is most of the time, whether it's points per night or just buying a contract and all that. And really your only restaurant there pretty much is going to be Cape May Cafe, and that's not a lot of people's cup of tea. I like it fine, but there's so many people that just don't like seafood, and they complain about the smell of the restaurant and all that stuff.
It does.
By comparison to other DVC resorts, I just don't see the appeal.
That restaurant makes the entire lobby smell. Okay, I won't use the analogy I was kind of
amazing,
but it makes it smell like an old fish market. Old fish market. That's the analogy I'll go with.
See, one thing so I am right there in the boat with most of you. When it comes down to the Epcot resorts, Boardwalk is going to be my preferred go-to. But one thing that Beach Club really has going for it that even sways me towards it, even over Boardwalk, is Ship Shape Spa. For spa goers, they have Ship Shape. They have
Fiasco, honey. That's not a spa.
Yes, it is.
Not a real one. Okay, not a real one. Okay,
Well,
it's just because you put you put some aromatherapy and a massage bed in a room does not make it a spa. Especially when we're going to talk about DVC spas, let's talk about Saratoga. Now that is a spa.
Grand Floridian. That's also
a spa.
So yeah, I see what you said. The facilities at Ship Shape are not there with the other census locations.
All Fiasco needs is a toothless old woman giving him a back rub, and it's a spa.
I haven't been to the beach club one. I have done Animal Kingdoms where remember, and it was just literally like beds in a back room, like it was like a utility closet, like at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Like I was there once, and you were like, oh, you can get a massage as a DVC member and get a discount, and I went, and I was like, literally, this is like something on 192. I don't get what's happening here. So like it was not what I thought. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was like, this is so weird. Is the beach club one like that or no?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. It's just, like, here we have a couple of rooms, let's call it a spa, and charge people for a massage.
Gotcha.
For me, a spa is an experience. It's an entire experience.
So, so like the Grand Floridian and the Saratoga one, they have all the stuff in the back. They got the super awesome shower with all the different settings, and they got the little hot tubs that you can soak in afterwards or before. But the Ship Shape doesn't have that, but they do have, the lobby that you can wade in your robe and drink the cucumber water and stuff. But then it's just a regular bathroom in the back, nothing crazy, nothing fancy. But I like it.
Yeah, toothless old woman giving you back rubs. That's fun. All right, you were talking about overrated, right? You did right there. Calling that a spa is very overrated.
Oh man!
But since Animal Kingdom Lodge was mentioned, another unpopular opinion that showed up on this thread: Animal Kingdom Villas is a complete waste of points.
They're high.
Too far from everything except Animal Kingdom. And I cannot get on board with this. I'm sorry. I cannot. Now, I haven't stayed in Kidani Village, so I can't judge that. But I have stayed in Jumbo House. I think the rooms are absolutely stunning. I think the resort, the staff at the resort, the amenities at the resort are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Save their spa. But 4 words. I have 4 words to illuminate why Animal Kingdom Lodge Villas is not a waste of points. And I'll try to un-Jersey this as much as I can. It has a freaking savannah.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a hotel that has a savannah with animals.
Yeah.
You can wake up in the morning and, oh, look, honey, there's a giraffe. How many hotels can you say that about? So I don't care how close it is to Animal Kingdom or anything else for that matter. In fact, its remoteness is one of the things that appeals to me.
Yeah.
That it's away from everything. And it's this other world, which is what great theming is supposed to accomplish. So the next time you think Animal Kingdom Lodge Villas is overrated, remember the 4 magic words. It has a freaking, 5 words. It has a freaking savannah. I can't even count my words. It has a freaking savannah. It has a freaking savannah. 5 words. Okay.
Yeah, and I get the perspective that person's coming from about distance, because I used to run into that on the travel agency side when I would book people, and people would ask me, because a lot of times when you're booking with cash, Animal Kingdom Lodge and Wilderness Lodge tend to be about the same price. So for like a standard view. And so a lot of people would ask me which one would I go with. And I would always say, I'll probably go with Wilderness Lodge because you're coming on your vacation and you're not coming that often. So like Animal Kingdom tends to get further away from stuff. Even though I like that resort a little bit better, but I like both. But when you're a DVC member, it's just not the same thing. Like when you're DVC, you come year after year. So going to the park, while yes, it is important, you're a Disney fan. There's other elements to it too, where it's not just about the parks for DVC people. So I think when you own DVC, I don't think that's a fair throw out to say, hey, it's far. We all know it is. And if you're only coming on one vacation ever in your life, yeah, I might say, hey, stay somewhere closer to other stuff. But I don't think in that case that's a fair analogy.
Derek, what about you? Is Animal Kingdom Villas a waste of points?
No, absolutely not. No, I'm in full agreement.
Oh, he's clutching pearls. Derek is doing the straight guy version of clutching pearls. The head's back.
Absolutely not. I think, talking to so many guests about it, and we've always kind of used that line that Animal Kingdom, it's blessing and it's curse, right? Is that its blessing is that you are literally in a completely different world and you're so far removed from everything. And that's what makes it incredible. When I go there using my points, because again, we live right here, we don't even go to the parks. We just love that resort because you almost get 2 resorts for the price of 1. So you've got 2 great pools, fantastic restaurants. You could literally go there and just have a fantastic staycation. And like you said, it's got those 5 magical words. Got a savannah.
And you know what? You bring up
sit and have a beer or coffee and look inside and see zebras and giraffes. So no, I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that Animal Kingdom is one of the best Disney Vacation Club resorts. Period. End of.
All right.
Now, don't get me started on Big Bay Lake Tower. But
you brought up something. Hold on. You brought up something that's really important. Food and beverage in general at Animal Kingdom Lodge is among the very best at Walt Disney World at any resort.
Agree.
Yep.
Arguably the best between the Mara, the quick service location, which is phenomenal.
Yep.
Boma, hello, and Jico, which now, in fairness, Jico can be hit or miss. Jico kind of goes through cycles where, like, for about 9 months it's really good, and then for 9 months it sucks. But generally speaking, it's good.
And Sanaa.
And then you have over at Kidani Village, you have Sanaa. And mind you, these 4 restaurants, these 4 incredible restaurants that have a following all their own. You look at the Diz boards or on Facebook or anything else, people talk about these restaurants all the time, and they talk about them with a lot of enthusiasm. And they're all located at one resort property. Yep. So how all those things added up, how that makes it a waste of points. This person fell down and hit their head.
Yeah. With Animal Kingdom Lodge, I think with everything, there's going to be pros and cons that you're going to have to weigh with really anything in life. But when it comes to Animal Kingdom Lodge, I personally consider it the best standalone resort on Walt Disney World property, with really the only con being the distance between all the other things you want to do. So, I mean, you weigh all that stuff that you get with staying in Animal Kingdom Lodge with, hey, maybe my routine in the morning is 20 minutes more. That's really the only thumbs down that you get. So, I mean, it's great for me.
Now, for this next one, I'm sorry, who's that?
Paul? No, I was just going to say, and I would take that a step further. I don't think that the distance is the problem. It's more the transportation. With bus being your only option there.
Right.
And there's been a lot of calls online and through forums, Disboard, all of that, people saying that it would be great to have a second Skyliner line that sort of services Animal Kingdom, Animal Kingdom Lodge, Coronado, and all of those. So I think fix that. This resort is flawless.
And I will throw.
In terms of points, it's not a large point usage. Like if you're comparing Savannah View, which is kind of the middle of their point chart, it sits kind of right in the middle of, if you're saying monorail resort versus Old Key West, Saratoga, it sits right in the middle of the point chart overall. So for having that experience, freaking Savannah, it does really justify the point, I think.
All right. I know everybody's got opinions. I need to keep this moving along. Rob, I'm coming to you with this next one. And then I'm going to look disapprovingly at Mr. Krieger because his wife was the one who posted this, and I was surprised. Not a fan of the 70s retro, somewhat tacky Tiki vibe at Poly. Now, look, once you've been to Aulani and seen what a real Polynesian resort looks like, I will say, in fairness, that in some regards, Polynesian suffers by comparison. However, that tacky, retro Tiki vibe is all the charm at that resort, in my opinion. Rob, what about you? What do you think?
I agree. The first resort we ever stayed was Polynesian back in 1995. Did I say that? 1975. And I think they did a good job with the DVC resort in continuing that resort theming, along with all the other things they've added in the last few years.
Yep. So, Paul, you have to answer. You have to answer for your wife.
I don't really have to answer for her because I sort of feel the same. So
Cut his mic.
When we stayed there, I don't know. I just got this old cabin like I was at summer camp again in some moldy, dingy cabin when I was staying in our villa, and I did feel like the overall vibe of the resort was a little bit tacky. And I'm excited for the refurb. I'm excited to see them maybe pump some new life into the Polynesian. I think it needs it.
Sean?
I think the best thing to kind of look at it is comparing it to like Adventureland as a whole. So like when you look at Adventureland as a area and a land at Magic Kingdom, you get to see the real life change of like, you know, let's say Disneyland, like in the 1950s when things changed from adventure being the center of Africa as really what the movies were and pop culture and everything. And you got to see that shift to like Polynesian stuff of the 60s and 70s. And like Disney really hit that middle zone of that time period. And so I think that's one of the things you have to look at with the Polynesian is in the time period that the Polynesian was made, that was a very modern take on a Polynesian look. And I think that's, so for a lot of people, the charm of it is I like the nostalgia of that time period.
Exactly.
But for a lot of people as well, especially right now, because of the way things are in the world, it can be seen, not by me, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who could see it as offensive in some way. Of like, it's not a real take. It's a very, you know...
Yeah, I mean, Disney made
yeah.
up for that. Disney made up for that with Aulani and the incredible depth of authenticity that they incorporated into. I mean, it was Joe Rohde, first of all, was the Imagineer who did Aulani. And Joe Rohde could spend 20 minutes talking to you about why the light fixtures are done the way they're done. They look the way they look. Because there's something there's some connection to something authentically Polynesian, authentically Hawaiian, I should say, in that. But in 1969, when they're building the Polynesian, that's just not a factor,
right?
And it is you got to remember, it was one of two hotels that were there when the park opened.
Yeah.
And in fact, from what I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but everybody says the Contemporary was the first hotel to open. But I heard that all of the celebrities that were going to be doing things at Magic Kingdom on opening day, Lucille Ball, Bob Hope, a whole bunch of other ones, were all put up at the Polynesian. So technically, that was the first Disney resort to get guests. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I've heard that. There is a history there. And I think that retro vibe, obviously, for me, even though I wasn't there as a kid, that definitely brings me back to my childhood. And one of the responses, because the audience, the people on this thread were not amused with this. It did not go over well. Dennis O'Brien said, "The reason I love it, Amy, is because I was there as a kid. Then, as an adult, I couldn't afford it until DVC. It's all about memories, but in addition to that, it's just relaxing. It has the best grounds on property, and the Tiki torches and Oasis pool are great. Side note, research Tiki culture, which came to the U.S. after the Vietnam War, and maybe you'll have a newfound appreciation." So, I mean, yeah, the audience did not agree. Thank God. I'd have to disown all of them. I'm sitting here struggling that I have to disown Paul. I'm
That's
really,
okay.
I love Paul, and Paul is wonderful, but I don't know if I can abide this. I don't know if I can abide this relationship that is heresy, these heretics against Polynesian.
It's okay. I'll love it. I'll love it when Moana arrives.
What about you, Marissa?
I totally agree with Sean. I think it's a very much like when I think about Polynesian, I think it's a full reflection of like the Tiki Room. And I think it does totally mirror what that original Disneyland vibe was. And that was why they wanted to create a piece of that in Walt Disney World. I actually have a little background in interior design. So I think it's very much that mid-mod, that feel. So it's not necessarily designed to be totally culturally correct or totally like that full Hawaiian or Polynesian vibe. It has a lot of that mid-mod. So you kind of have to accept the combination of both, but I think it is going to be very much that kind of feeling of nostalgia that I think the combination of the resort feel and the nostalgia is why people love it so much.
All right. Derek, what about you?
Marissa made some excellent points.
Mariska
Yeah.
Hardigate, Peloton.
I cannot get that out of my head.
You're welcome.
She's gonna hate me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people touched on too, it's just about the history. I mean, to me, there's no more quintessential, really Walt Disney World resort than when you're on the beach at the Polynesian, looking across Seven Seas Lagoon, seeing Cinderella Castle. It's
Preach,
just
brother.
so authentically Disney that even to this day, when I stay there, I always think, man, this is what Disney. If I were to think of a Disney World vacation, that resort to me personifies. I mean, they're all great, but there's still tons of people that don't even know where the beach club is or what the boardwalk is. But every human being in the world knows the Polynesian, and it's right there on the beach. So to me, it's just a absolute win-win classic.
But I also think it's
Sorry, Paul.
I think it's a mistake for people to look at the Polynesian and think of it in terms of authentically representing that culture.
Right.
For me, I mean, it certainly has a great deal of hinting at that culture, right? The whole vibe. But for me, it's a connection with the history of Walt Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
That when I go there, I'm reminded of the fact that when Walt Disney World first opened, this was there, and that in that lagoon they tried to do a wave machine that didn't work, and it's still out there. Right,
Yeah.
the mechanical elements of that are still out there. There's, in a previous show, on the trivia show that we just did, we talked about John Lennon signing the papers to disband the Beatles while he was staying at the Polynesian. There's so much Disney history in that resort. That resort is so much more than a theme. That resort is so much more than just Polynesia. It's Disney World history. It's Disney World history there. And so I can never find that tacky. I can never find that anything other than charming and alluring for that reason. As a Disney fan. And again, if I want authenticity, if I want authentic, I'm not going to go to Florida. I'm going to go to Hawaii. And Disney did a beautiful job with a very authentic, culturally authentic. Because let me tell you, Hawaii was worried about that. Hawaii was worried that they were going to Disneyfy their culture. And when they opened that resort, they were blown away by how far out of their way Joe Rohde and Disney went to create a truly culturally authentic experience. And, again, it just, for me, it's about the history. All right, one more, then we're going to wrap up. And Fiasco, we're going to start with you. Kristen said, I'm saying this is DVC related since it's at a DVC resort. Topolino's breakfast wasn't worth the price and the food was just not good. And surprisingly, some in the group agreed. One person said, I just don't understand the hype. I was so excited for that meal because of the way people talk about it, and left the meal not understanding why I paid that much.
So I am curious as to when these people went. I've eaten breakfast there 3 times, but all this was over 9 months ago. So when it comes to breakfast, when I experienced it 9 months plus ago, it was some of the best on property. The bread service that you get alone is like on a tier of its own. There's like 5 different breads and muffins that you get. Also, if you do the prefix menu, you can get steak for breakfast, and it's like the quality of filet that you get at dinner. And if you hash it out that way, like, I forget the exact price point per person, but I think it was like 38, somewhere around that ballpark of about 38. And you're able to get like a dinner quality steak that would normally run you like upwards to $44 just on your prefix menu alone. That's including the bread service and everything. I mean, I also got the bread pudding there, which again is not the same value of a steak, but it was insanely
Really?
good. Oh yeah.
There's a different value between bread pudding and steak?
Oh, I mean,
I never would have guessed.
Yeah, you wouldn't have guessed it, but no, I would definitely say that there is a difference in value, but it was still so good. Everything I've had there is so good. In a future video, we're going to talk about what we think the best dining is at a DVC resort. I won't give you my exact answer, but I will say Topolino's is a contender. I think it's a great place.
All right, let me do this. Does anyone agree that Topolino's is overrated?
Breakfast.
Topolino's breakfast is overrated.
I'm not going to say I agree that it's overrated, but I've never eaten there for breakfast. But when I judge a menu, I look at what are they doing that's creative, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we've seen people complain about is that you've got a waffle, you've got eggs, you've got steak, which is being offered at most breakfast locations. So for $42 for an adult, some people are struggling to find the value there. Now, just to throw out there, I believe that you can get more than one entree for that price. So that's something to consider into this. But I've not fully tried it yet.
See, my only experience with Topolino's was breakfast when they opened.
Yeah.
When they first opened. Since then, the world has caught fire. And I remember liking it. I remember thinking it was very good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've been back for dinner, and I enjoyed dinner again. I loved it the first time. I've loved it since. But I mean, breakfast, my only comparison is from opening day. And that was, of course, that was a character meal at that time. So you had a lot of character interaction, and it was like, the Fab Five essentially was what they were going for. And so when I put it on the same playing field as other breakfast restaurants at Disney that have that same character interaction of those characters, you're comparing it with Chef Mickey's. So if I have to say, oh, my kids want to do one of these, they want to meet these characters, and we're doing a breakfast, Topolino's wins every day. So, because I think Chef Mickey's is a disgusting restaurant. So it's, I just don't think there's anything good about it, especially compared to Topolino. So in that way, I would say, yes, it's worth the money, but the stars kind of have to align.
yeah.
But I'd go for dinner if I had to pick between the two, so.
All right. Anybody else with opinions on Topolino's?
I haven't been yet.
I haven't been.
I've tried, but I haven't been yet.
Yeah. See, and right now it's not. I want to go back and re-review it, but I will not eat indoors, and there's no outdoor dining at Topolino's. So until I can eat inside again like a person, it's just gonna have to wait. All right. does anybody have an unpopular opinion they want to throw out?
Oh, Bailey Tower. I think we're in agreement on that one.
Yeah.
I can't think.
If anybody wants to talk about Bay Lake Tower, please feel free to convince me to like Bay Lake Tower.
Oh,
Because from day
really?
one, I've never liked it. Never liked it.
Okay, tell me why.
It feels very cold to me and very just cold. And not when I think of Disney, it's always going to be warm and inviting. I never liked the decor in the room. You're right. It feels like a convention to me, where I feel like I'm in a hospital. Like it's strange.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, the location's amazing, but overall,
All right, you're dead
I
to
would
me.
rather stay at any other resort besides Bay Lake Tower.
Make a note. Derek is dead to me.
Okay.
I look, I love Bay Lake Tower. And I love Bay Lake Tower for a few reasons. Number one, I agree that the general common areas tend to be more sterile in their, you know, it's a contemporary,
right?
And you know, it's been a while since Disney's idea of contemporary was Jetsons, because that was their style back in the day. My first time staying there, I remember feeling like I had a very cosmopolitan 1-bedroom apartment, a 5-minute walk away from Magic Kingdom. And that's a pretty attractive sentence to a Disney fan, or to this Disney fan. I found the room. I found the room beautifully appointed. I didn't think it was. They weren't going over the top with the, you know, cool metal contemporary theme. There was some woods and some blues and some warmth. There was some warmth in it, but it's not supposed to look like Wilderness Lodge.
Right.
But the thing is, I could wake up in the morning in my 1-bedroom apartment, 5-minute walk from Magic Kingdom, make my coffee in my kitchen, and then go walk to the Magic Kingdom. That's what I could do there. I literally, from that trip, I once that trip was over, I bought another contract at Bay Lake Tower.
But the resort itself could be anything. Like if it's just because it's a 5-minute walk, like that's not saying that the resort is great. That's just a good location.
Yeah. Okay. And what else has it?
No, I'm just saying. I mean,
that does make it special. Now, look, I will say that my initial review, I gave it very high marks. I did say I think the blog I did on it, it reminded me of the Watergate Tower in Washington, or the Watergate complex in Washington. And if you look at a picture of the Watergate Hotel and you look at a picture of Bay Lake Tower, you could say, oh, maybe the same person designed this. But that for me, I mean, I love the location. I love the fact that I can walk over to the Wave, which is one of my all-time favorite restaurants at Walt Disney World over in the Contemporary. California Grill's right there. It has top of the world lounge. And again, when these things are open, okay. So you take the entirety of the experience at it. If we're just going to boil it down to theming, I mean, is that really how we judge hotels? It's just about its theme, or is it about, you know, is it more than the sum of its parts? And in this case, I think it is. So yeah, maybe the theme isn't everybody's cup of tea, but 5-minute walk to the Magic Kingdom, so some fantastic restaurants right there, top of the world lounge. Okay, now all of a sudden, in my opinion anyway, it weighs heavier. It gives it all of those things combined. I think that resort is greater than the sum of its parts, in my opinion. Which is my way of saying, when I say in my opinion, it means, Derek, you're wrong.
I think it has more of that like amenities apartment feel, and I think it's the mindset. Like it's not necessarily like that like relaxing vacation, but it has everything you need, probably more so than any other resort.
That's what makes DVC great. There's different flavors of ice
Yep.
cream for everybody. I just don't happen to like the flavor of ice cream. That's all.
Oh, and
Derek
and
took
I
the words out of my
understand.
mouth there. And I think that was someone's comment
What's
on
that?
the actual post itself, which was that basically you have the option as a Disney Vacation Club member to stay at all of these different places, and you don't have to
Right.
like all of them.
Right.
You get to choose where you stay, choose where you enjoy the vacation.
No, and you
And
don't.
that's
You're
the
right.
beauty of it.
You're absolutely right. You don't have to like all of them. You do have to like the ones that I like.
Mike,
So,
Mike
all right.
Maggi,
I got it.
All right,
Maggi posted.
Rob. Anything you want to? You've been kind of quiet. Anything you want to get in here?
Yeah, I think what Paul was talking about was a poster named Mike Maggi who posted, "Wow, resorts getting both love and hate at the same time. It's almost like the people at Disney knew that not everyone is the same and would all like different theme, style, amenities, etc. They must be some kind of wizards."
Wow. Wow. That's a great point. Again, I'll go back to, there's something for everybody, but you have to like the ones that I like. I really think that needs
The
to be the
moral of the
standard.
story.
That should be the standard by which all of this is judged. I'm kidding, of course. But that's a good point, Rob, that there are, if you take a look, it's one thing I do absolutely love about DVC is that there are so many options. From the Grand Floridian to the Polynesian to the Contemporary to the Boardwalk to the Beach Club to Old Key West to Saratoga Springs to Vero Beach, Hilton Head, friggin' Alani, for God's sakes. That should be its new name, by the way, is friggin' Alani. Then all the people from New Jersey would go. You called it friggin' Alani, a Disney resort and spa. But that's a good way. It's a good way to put it. It's a perfect way to end our show. We hope you enjoyed it. We will see you again next week with another edition of the DVC show. Have a great week, folks.